Hey. We are back for another segment. It's getting later in the day, so, you know, things are getting weirder. A little more fun, more energy popping. But I am joined this segment, this hour at 5:55 with three very eclectic and different musicians, talented beings, artists. We have Marco Pavé right here. Mm-hmm. We have Zamy Maa, and we have Kala. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. And we're gonna talk about frequencies, vibrations, music making, navigating music making and the industry, and putting your vibrations out there for others and receiving how they receive those vibrations. We've been talking all day about how art creation and art making is a personal process that becomes art once it's offered to others, once it's given beyond yourself. Before that, it's just like a personal experience and a revelation and expression of sorts. So I just want to dive right in and offer this question to you guys of what is it that is the source of your music making, would you say? What is the provider of your frequencies and your vibrations?
Anybody want to start? I thought we were going to start with you.
Okay.
You're right first.
That's an amazing question. Thank you for that. My source has changed over time. When I first began rapping, doing music, it was anger. That was my source. Coming from a impoverished neighborhood, seeing the crazy stuff that I saw growing up, dead bodies in front of the house or whatever, the list goes on and on. So it was like this energy of making it out, this energy of anger and just discontentment in a lot of ways. But now it's more so like transforming that anger into like a deeper purpose of understanding, like, who I am, and not just who I am right here in this moment, but just like who I come from, my people, sharecroppers or whatever they were, this history of connecting myself to something deeper than just where I am in this moment. So that's a lot of what's happening, and just African spirituality has helped me a ton. I grew up Muslim, and so there was always this energy of feeling like I was doing something wrong if I was really rapping or talking about the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So like living in this double world where you are basically a sinner at all times. And so the African spirituality like really opened up my heart to really just like do the stuff that I want to do and like live the life that I want to live and tap into like my divine femininity and divine masculine and all of that. So that's kind of where I am now, like literally combining everything that I've ever went through and my history of ancestors to my practice. And it's fun now.
It's
so
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Zam.
I agree with you. What you said. It's constantly changing for me. But I think one thing that's constant for me is it's always a space of inquiry, like a space of trying to answer a question. Like I'm constantly in this space of finding myself, and what does that look like in each turn, at each new age or new year? Like what does that look like to me? Because for me, I started making music in a really sad time in my life. Like I was really sad, and I the only thing that I could do that would stop me from crying was to say what I was feeling, or just sing out what I was feeling. And so I think I don't always make music sad now. That's transformed, but I'm always in a space of inquiry, like always asking myself, like, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling? How do I transmute this feeling? How do I move from this space into a new space? So I feel like all my songs kind of come from that space of self-inquiry and self-exploration, self-revelation, self.
The same. When you asked the question, I answered it in my mind. The one-word answer was pain. Like anger, sadness, suffering, sorrow. I'm grateful now that it has transmuted and it has room to transform. And so there is celebration and joy and triumph. It's not just heavy in a weighted way, but there's room for a lot more now. But I was really stuck by something you said, even just in the intro, kind of around like, is it art if it's just us, you know, like just for us, you know? And I'd almost argue it's the opposite way, that it's always art, you know, like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, it absolutely makes a sound. However, I think that it might be the opposite way, where when we put it out to the world, it might become a little less of a meditation, a little less righteous. I mean, not always, but it can have the potential to be pervaded and warped a bit. So I'd almost argue it's almost holier when it's just ours. We take a risk when we put it out. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I received that challenge and the other side of that coin, and I think at this point it's language that we're talking about, but this idea of what that personal expression and experience is of processing to make, and then the actual process of making. Like you said, it's yours, it's intimate, it's very close, and then when you give it away or offer it to others, then you have the potential for it to be theirs and not yours. So yeah, and I think that's the transaction of art, you know? That's the transaction that happens when you say, I made a thing, and do what you can with it, and you hope that it hits all those chords, or it opens them up to a positive response in space as opposed to something negative or so. But there's no telling what that experience is that they're going to have, because just like we're talking about, it's the experiences that bring you to that moment of creation that will dictate how they also receive and perceive something as well. So that being said, is that something that you think about when you are creating work that is for others? Because I feel like we all are going to be in a space, in a moment of making something that is ours and was never meant to go to market or be sold or offered to others, but then there are things that we make to put out there. Do those thoughts and energies kind of go into what you create, if you know it's going to be for someone else or for yourself?
Sure. Yeah. It's funny because what I'm thinking of now is just that feeling of I can often think of the moment when, like, I'm writing something and I think about sharing it, when I do think about it being received, and that's a powerful moment as well, when I can feel I mean, because selfishly I write it for me first. But it's the affirmation, like, I know, yes, I'm an individual, but my experience isn't individual. And, you know, it's not unique in this I mean, it is, right? But it's not. So the fact that it can be receive that affirmation, and it's almost like a vision, a foreshadowing, when I go, oh yes, this is like human, and people will receive this, you know, and that's a good feeling when I can project and think about this audience, whoever they are. But yeah.
I kind of create in a shell. I don't know, like, maybe it's selfishness, maybe it's just like, I don't know what it is, but it's hard for me to take myself out of the creation and think of how is someone going to perceive this. I feel like that's almost a block to me. It almost makes me stop and like, oh, I don't know, ooh, should I do that? You know, it makes me like overthinking, and I feel like I try my best not to think about that. Half of the things I make, sometimes I don't even consider that someone else might hear this. Even though I mean, subconsciously I know that, but I'm not considering that in the process, because for me, I don't know, there's a kind of, before I could even get on a stage, before I started to perform my music, I had to convince myself to do it, because it was that personal to me. Like, this is my journal. Like, why do I don't need to do that. Yeah, I sound nice, but I don't care what y'all think about me sounding nice. Like, why do I need to do this? So I had to create a higher purpose for me to do it. And although that higher purpose is always here with me, I think in the creation process it's really spiritual for me. I don't want to consider how anyone else is feeling in that moment. It's about me in spirit, and wherever needs to come out the way it comes out, no matter how anybody might feel about it in that moment. So yeah, I'm not thinking about y'all. Let's be real.
For me, it's a deep challenge. I got caught in, the social media world for a long time, where everything you do is for, other people. And so just being a hip hop artist, independent hip hop artist, like, we hoop and holler about being independent all day, but a lot of us are following the path of what the music industry controls. And so we start behaving in the same way, like, oh, I'm gonna drop a mixtape every week, or I'm gonna drop a song every day, kind of deal. So like getting into that habit was a thing where I was just constantly like, my whole self-value was in how many people gonna see this, how many people gonna like this video, how many views I'm gonna get. And I went from, I took basically as an independent artist, really started seeing behind like the veil of what the music industry was. Like I got on MTV in 2015 as like a 21-year-old rapper, and was just like nothing changed, quote unquote, for me. So then it was like everything that I did after that was like, I can't do music unless I got a budget. I can't like do shit unless I'm like feeling like this person is this gonna like be a huge rap star. And so I had to snap out of that so I could like really just get into my own stuff. And so now I'm at a point where, like you saying, like a lot of times my music that I keep for myself, I'm like, this shit bumping. I don't even want nobody to hear it, so it won't be evaluated on that level. I don't want it to be. But then also I play the field of writing for other people. Like I write for movies or write for, and so when you ask to write something, you gotta think about what that person is wanting. And so then I put myself in it deeply and try to like tell a story that I want to tell, so it doesn't feel like I'm being like just used for capitalism. So yeah.
That's a great transition. I feel like music was definitely one of those original art forms that was like art created to amplify other art and itself and like your experience. But then 80s, 90s, 2000s, like music became a very intricate part of the entertainment industry. It got considered, entertainment as opposed to, again, this art craft that was also involved tangentially to entertainment, but music is the entertainment now. Artists are the factory workers, are the ones pumping out the product. They are the product, artists. And most artists don't get into being an artist to be an artist. We are an artist, and then it's how do we live off of this, and you kind of have to navigate and bounce yourself through these realms. And I'm curious if there's a different approach to what you make potentially for that realm versus another realm.
For me, I think when I listen back to my music, like I try to listen to my music as an audience once I'm done creating. Outside of the creation process, I try to listen to it as an audience member. So there is something in my head that does tell me like, yeah, people might like gravitate to this more than they would gravitate to that. And I think, I don't know, I really just go with the flow. Like I definitely follow what I feel like is, like you said, we're not that different. We're all going through similar things at similar times. So I try to go with the flow of what I feel like this is relevant, like this speaks to me now. Like as I'm listening to it as an audience member, like this is speaking to me right now. So I go with that more than I try to, I guess, feed into what is trending. I'm more trying to just make you feel something, and I know that certain times or certain seasons we grow through certain things that we're all feeling a certain way. Like we all go through something during the winter. Something happens when it get cold that we just get real sentimental. And whether you're going through that or not, it's also a holiday season, so there's sentimentality in the air. Period. you know. So I think I pay more attention to how people are feeling, more than I try to, you know, tap into trends, because that just annoys me, and that's just a personal thing. I gotta go with a flow. You know, I gotta go with a flow that's authentic to me, or else I'm just gonna be looking at myself like, who do you think you are? Like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to do something right now, and it's inauthentic. And if I could feel it, somebody's gonna look at you like, this is inauthentic. You know? So I'm always checking myself to be like, you know, as authentic as I can possibly be, while also trying to be as, you know, tactical. So tactically authentic.
Everybody else.
You? I just have lots of thoughts.
I do too. I really do.
Yeah. No. Well, first I'm over here and giving like on a timeline in my head, because especially for Black music, there's been a long history of Black music being the center of like entertainers, coming out of like being specifically musicians and singers. And I know you specifically mentioned musicians, but like everything that, you know, music is there, so you're gonna have dance, and you're gonna have singing, and you're gonna have poetry, and you're gonna have theater. Like that's always kind of been there and been co-opted. There's been a lot of ways that, especially like I teach like hip hop and creative writing, and every year, especially with my older students, I have to get hip to the fact that we like to. Like the first record on the radio was a hip hop, it was some more bullshit. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like that wasn't righteous. Like, you know what I mean? That was for entertainment. That was pop music. Like people that were really into hip hop culture like scoffed at it. You know what I mean? That was not cool. And when you know the history, the cat he was spitting somebody else's bars. Big Bang Hank was spitting Casanova Fly's bars, and like. It was just a whole different era, you know what I mean? And so, like, you have to be reminded, because I want to be quick to be like, what is this? What is going on right now? But really, it's like, I'm on a tangent, but I think that some of this music now is like modern day blues, you know? It's like a blues. It's like, it's really sad. It's hyperbolic in the ways that I think blues was back in the day. Like, I'd rather die. I'd rather go blind than see you walk away with somebody else. Like, and that's some very similar themes that are going on now. So when I think about, and I'm also processing something you said, like we do like want to put our music out independently, but we're also playing by the same rules of the machine, you know? And then we are trying to think for ourselves and make music for ourselves first, but then we do have to be mindful, because we do want people to hear it, right? So we do have to be tactical. We are thinking about, well, how does it get out? How are we sharing this with people? So there's a lot that's going on here, and the ebb and flow, and I think that's just the grounding thing. You create when you need to, like, because we're not part of the monster, we're not part of the machine, and like I think we get to make our choices on when and how we interact with it. I think that's the grounding thing we all have.
I think that's everything both of y'all said is really on point for me. And I've been in both spaces where, just in this mindset, I'm from Memphis, so a lot of Memphis rap is just all, raunchy or, gangster, trap, all of that. And so my whole style when I was coming up in 2013, 2014 was just completely different. Like backpack rapper, wasn't no backpack rappers coming out of Memphis in that time. And so I worked so hard, to, put that thing on the map. And it was in the moment of the Black Lives Matter moment in Memphis. And so my name really started to become like synonymous with political rap in Memphis. And so it was like cool, but then I'm performing my song Black Tux, and it's like I know what I made that song for. I made it inspired by the Mike Brown moment. But then when I'm performing in front of an audience with like 200 white people singing a song, and I'm like, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to like make this go to where I think it could go, and let this pain be consumed in a way that I don't think it's being understood in the kind of right way? So so then I started rebelling against the political rap identity and was like, nigga, I'm from the streets, y'all. So I was like doing a whole bunch of like I was doing the rap that I, came up with. So I'm talking about the drug history that I had and all the wild stuff. And so for me, that was just like, both of those were authentic expressions. But for me, it's like, never wanted to be caught in a box. Like if I feel like I want to tell the story of me selling drugs, and I want to wake up and do that, I'm gonna do that. If I feel like I want to tell a story about slavery and how deep that affected our people, I'm gonna do that. So I'm really just trying to be a full authentic person without like being caught in like I'm a backpack rapper, I only can do this, or like if Juicy J did a political record, people would like turn it off. Because it's like he's stuck in a box of like, we only want to hear the trap. We only want to hear the booty shaking music. So it's like, I don't want to be stuck in that. So that's kind of like how I navigate. Yeah.
Yeah, something that's so resounding is just like this idea of duality and like multiplicity. We're such multi-dimensional beings that we speak on so many different vibrations. We experience so many different vibrations. So like, what's to say that our expressions can't and shouldn't be within that spectrum and all over wherever we are in those moments. And I feel like when we're creating for ourselves, we tap into more of like, everybody mentioned pain being one of those first ones, or stress and things like that. And then I feel like when we are creating for others, we try to tap into other sides of that, because we either want to give them something that they'll automatically accept, or just not even wanting to tap into that vibration for ourselves and offer that to others. Like a lot of that music that does end up being on that vibration was some of those personal things that we created first and decided to put out there afterwards. So how do you balance that duality and the multiple experiences of life that we have and that we express, and like when you're putting them out there, whether you're expecting a response or not, the vibrations that you're putting out there are ones that you want to, not be remembered for, but you want to be what touches and impacts people. So how do you make those decisions or like navigate those types of opportunities?
Anybody?
No, I've already made some agreements with myself about what I'm willing to do or not do. Like who I'm making music for, and what success is to me. I've already made those agreements with myself, and I'm open to them shifting and evolving, but they're pretty. They are what they are. My limits and my boundaries. So I don't make music that I think, like, I don't make music to get on the radio or to be popular in the way, like when we say pop music, but I think that we have to be room to be our full selves. And that's something that I don't think Black people, Black musicians, Black artists get to be. Like, I think, like, it's so interesting how artists, like, there's so many we know, right? They get to, I won't even name them. I want to name them. No, but there are names. But it's also like, why even make them, let them take up space here? But we know who they are. Like, that get to shift genres. They get to, like, totally perform Blackness and be up in, like, hip hop or art, like, whatever. And it's like, it's not authentic. It's disingenuous. And then they're able to go back to, like, alternative music and, like, they're rockers. And it's like, everybody's like, okay, cool, like, great. But then when a Black musician wants to be their full selves and do rock music and punk and hip hop, and they want to sing and they want to color, they want to do whatever, like, we don't get to be full. And so I just say take up that space in that way. Yeah.
I agree. And I think just being a Black artist, period, can kind of be something that's rebellious in a way. You know, just making that choice to be like an artist and be Black at the same time is automatic rebellion. So you might as well just say fuck it and just do whatever you want. Especially as an independent artist, like, there's nobody telling me what to do. Like, I don't answer to nobody. I do what Zamy wants at all times. Like, So if Zamy wants to, you know, make a song that's, you know, up tempo one day and then rap the next day, I might do that. Like, just because I feel like I want to do that. So I like giving myself the freedom to just do what I feel like. I don't know about. I understand like there is a balance, but at the same time I'm like, I don't know. I just do. I just kind of do. I do. I try not to think too hard about how I do it, just because then that's when the inauthenticity tends to creep in. So as long as I'm doing it and I feel good, then I'm good. Yeah.
And yeah, I've had a couple situations where throughout my career where I've been tasked to like write a song, maybe a theme song or a song for like a campaign or things like that. So for one example, when I was like 20, I wrote this song for the city of Memphis, and it was about this blight program that Memphis had. They're trying to like clean up some of the city and work on like different blighted properties. And so my energy was solely like, I'm about to tell the realest story that I can think of. And I was talking about gangs and drugs and poverty and like just going there. And so I didn't have a filter at this time. But the song made it like literally all the way. We had a whole setup kind of like this. They recorded a video for it. And we got all the way up to almost airing on like the local station. And I guess when the higher ups heard it, they was like, nah, we can't do that. It's too much. And so I was telling like from my heart. And so maybe in 2017, this is 7 years later, I had another opportunity to write a song about, you know, the gun violence in the city. But the campaign was wanting to like talk so bad about black Memphians, black male youth, and talk down to people, just talk at people. And I was just like, no, I'm one of these people. Why would I do that? Why would I make a song that's condemning the people that you trying to help? And so I pushed so hard to like get the push so hard to it could come from a place of love, that I had to like really write that song from a place of love. And then the reception was like, it was literally a 60-second commercial, but people was requesting it like it was a real song, because I came from a place of love, because I'm like, I can't talk down to my people. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm always in these situations where I'm having to give the client something, but then give them my realest version of myself. And if it doesn't get picked, then I have to be fine with it. And if it does get picked, the people know what I was doing. So yeah.
I think you said it best when you was like, I already got agreements with myself that that I ain't finna cross. I said that to myself. Like, we have these roundtable conversations with the founders of SLAP, and one of our first conversations was around self-love, and I was just like, man, I'd rather be mad at somebody else than mad at myself. Like, you got to keep that integrity that you have for yourself first, because I'll lose sleep over some shit that I did to myself, you know, versus like knowing that I stood up for or didn't, you know, go against that. So I think in creating art, and especially in music, because it is so popular and easy to consume and easy to make and distribute, not talent skill wise, you know what I mean, just like technologically, industry wise, that there's a lot of opportunity to misstep and to be beside yourself in that process, just to, in a weird warped way, do more of what you want to do, like to get closer to yourself, and it kind of diverts and distracts from that as well. So I love all the comments that you all are making, just about just the presence of mind that goes into that, and just like the real presence of being and spirit that guides you in that process. We only have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to just offer space for you guys to just share any comments about your creative state of being right now, how the times are feeding you or are not feeding you, and you know what you're looking forward to creating coming out of this and moving forward.
I've been doing a lot of writing, just trying to get more into seeing myself as a writer. So this year been writing screenplays, so this like need to really slow down my process and not be, you know, because you don't write a screenplay for social media. Like it's just what it is. So it's no you know instantaneous gratification that I have to worry about. It's really like building this muscle in my brain to just think about characters, think about storytelling in the slow kind of way. And then I also worked on this project called Requiem for the Enslaved, where it was like this deep meditative story about, you know, black. So I work at Georgetown University right now, and they have a history of selling, you know, 272 enslaved black people. So this project was about, you know, diving into that. And that really like helped me see, because I'm so used to rapping on like 8th notes, 16th notes, just rapping so fast, like rapping to a beat. Doing that project allowed me to like see words in a different kind of way, where I'm like, even tonight I'm gonna do like a poetry set for the first time in my life, because I'm like,
that's what Slap will do to you.
Yeah. Because I'm okay with slowing down. And so that's where I'm at.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I've been writing a lot. I've been exploring sound a lot, and exploring collaboration a lot, which, like I said before, for me it's been, I created in the shell for the most part. So now I've been opening up that shell a bit. And just seeing what things come out, and allowing those things to come without judging them. So I think this space and this time has allowed me to dig deeper within myself than I have ever done before, and to not judge whatever comes out, and even if it's ugly or even if it don't sound right immediately, and being okay with that. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come for me. I have a AP coming out soon. I don't have a date, but y'all, you know, it's coming.
I know we're wrapping up. I'm gonna just say this. I'm creating from a place of gratitude. My process, whether someone hears it or not, it saves my life. Day and day, day after day after day after day. And that's not hyperbole. That is the truth. So having this process is so grounding. And I just try to, whatever the emotion that comes up, gratitude is like is the through line.
That is the only way to wrap this conversation. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all sharing your minds and your spirits with us, and definitely looking forward to the show later on, so I can experience that energy in real person. Everybody out there, y'all are missing out, but you're still tuning in, so that's good. But yes, I will thank y'all again. I will leave y'all with gratitude, as you mentioned, and we'll get back with y'all later.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.